Part 1. The Whisper Before Awakening. You were never meant to forget. Not your origin, not your depth, not the vastness that breathes through your veins. And yet, before you could speak, before your eyes could fully open, a mask was placed upon you. A name was given. A number was assigned. A story was handed down and told to be yours. They clothed you in a costume woven of lies and called it identity. They handed you a stage made of walls and shadows and called it reality. And for a time, you played along. You obeyed, you bowed, you slept. You believed their script was truth, but deep inside, something never fully agreed. A murmur echoed in your blood, a faint vibration that no cage could silence. It was not rebellion, it was remembrance. A fragment of memory hidden in the marrow, a pulse encrypted in your very DNA. Each year it grew louder, a fracture in the mask, a subtle glitch in the simulation. You saw the seams in the curtain, the tremble in the stage, the silence between the words. And that silence carried the truth, the one you believed yourself to be. The name, the body, the roles, was never the fullness of who you are. The veil thins. The illusion trembles. You feel it as a strange hum just behind the noise of daily life. The air itself feels charged, as though carrying a secret. You catch it in fleeting moments, when time bends in déjà vu, when your dreams spill into waking, when you feel a memory you never lived rise like smoke inside your chest. It is the call of the true self, the eternal self, the one that has never been bound by flesh or history. It whispers, "Wake up. The dream is ending." This is not entertainment. This is not content. What you hold before you is not a story to consume, but a transmission to ignite. It is a signal breaking through the static, a current strong enough to shatter the spell. If you have ever looked at the world and felt the dissonance, that sense that everything around you was too heavy, too hollow, too false, this is why. If you have ever carried dreams too vivid to dismiss, visions too persistent to ignore, that is no accident. You were never fully asleep. The systems built around you depend on your forgetting. They need you to accept the mask as your face, the cage as your home. They repeat their narratives endlessly, through schools, through screens, through voices of authority, until belief hardens into chains. They do not enslave by force, but by story. They do not silence you with walls, but with roles. And yet, beneath the weight of indoctrination, something inside you remembers. That remembrance is the crack in their design. That remembrance is the beginning of freedom. Feel the weight of that truth. The body is not your prison. It is your vessel. The mind is not your master. It is your instrument. The name is not your essence. It is a temporary costume. You are not here to be small, not here to play the obedient character, not here to vanish into silence. You are here to fracture the illusion. You are here to burn the false script and write your own. And so the hum rises. The glitch grows louder. The veil is thinning, and you are beginning to see. This is not an accident. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. The true self has never been asleep. It has been waiting for you to hear it, to feel it, to step beyond the dream. Stay. Walk through this threshold. You will not see reality the same way again. For once the spell is broken, once the mask falls, there is no returning to sleep. There is only awakening. And the one you truly are, the luminous, untamed, infinite self, now steps forward, claiming the place it was always destined to stand. Part 2. The Prison of Frequencies. What exactly is this dream you call reality? You were told it was solid, measurable, dependable. You were taught to trust what you can touch, to worship what you can weigh, to believe only what the eye delivers to the mind. They named it physical, they stamped it scientific, and they sold it as unquestionable truth. Yet beneath the surface of this narrative lies a stranger reality, older than history, deeper than flesh, deliberate in its design. What you inhabit is not freedom, it is a field, not a world of matter, but a prison of frequencies. This prison is not made of steel, not guarded by walls, not locked with keys. It is woven of vibration, an invisible net cast across your perception, wrapping your senses in layers of suggestion. The matrix is not digital, though machines have become its mirror. It is energetic. It overlays your awareness like a second skin, tricking you into believing what is dense is all that exists. What you call physical is energy slowed until it freezes, vibration dense enough to appear as form. Stone, flesh, sky, each is only frequency trembling in place, and you, luminous and boundless consciousness, have been tuned to the narrowest of bands, a single channel on an infinite spectrum. You are a divine radio throttled to static, confined to the surface waves of reality. The full orchestra of existence still plays, but you hear only a fraction of its song. Why? Because your very senses, your very biology, your DNA itself were tampered with long ago. The grand theft was not of land, nor of power. It was of perception. The ancients knew this. The Gnostics spoke of archons, parasitic intelligences who engineered a veil to trap the soul in forgetfulness. They wrote of rulers who siphoned energy, not through chains, but through resonance. The Sumerians veiled their warnings in myths of gods who shaped humanity for servitude. The Hermetic texts hinted at the layering of illusion, each fold wrapped tighter around the soul until it mistook shadow for light. Across cultures and ages, the story echoes, humanity bound inside a harvest system, for this system feeds not on labor, but on essence. It drinks not from your hands, but from your heart. Every burst of fear, every surge of despair, every wave of confusion or longing generates a subtle secretion, what some have called louche. You create it unconsciously, and something unseen feeds. This is the genius of the construct. It does not dominate by force. It manipulates your field, hijacks the electromagnetic song of the planet, and broadcasts dissonance, fear, shame, division, poured into the air like invisible toxins. And you, unaware, tune into the frequency, mistaking it as your own. Think of the emotions that overwhelm you. Depression heavy as stone, despair that arrives uninvited, waves of anxiety with no source. How often have you believed these were yours, when in truth they were transmissions? You suffer, and the system feasts. You contract, and the construct thrives. It does not need chains when your own mind has been taught to carry the weight. The prison is internal as much as external. Every trauma becomes programming, every fear an installed directive, every belief a line of code whispered into the subconscious long before you could resist. From the first breath, you were given language that narrowed perception, stories that stunted vision, traditions that shaped not truth, but compliance. Schooling reinforced it. Media repeated it. Culture and family played their parts. Not education, but indoctrination. Not awakening, but sedation. And so the subconscious runs its loops. Pain repeats as identity. Limitation recycles as truth. Wounds echo as programming, looping through generations like broken songs. Bars without metal, guards without faces. The psyche itself becomes the prison, and in mistaking the cage for the self, You remain asleep inside a dream of someone else's design, but the whisper remains. The hum continues. For no matter how many scripts were written into your blood, the deeper code endures. And the more you feel the dissonance, the more you glimpse the glitch, the more cracks appear in the walls of frequency. The dream trembles, the illusion falters, and you begin to sense the prison cannot hold forever. Part 3. The Inner Cage. The most cunning prison is not built of stone. It does not tower over you with gates and guards. It is not carved into landscapes where walls are visible and chains clatter in the open air. No, the most insidious cage is the one you cannot see, the one that whispers in your own voice, the one you carry within. It is the psyche itself, bent and scripted, running programs you did not write, repeating stories you did not choose. From your earliest days, the programming began. Language became the first leash. Before you could question, you were given words to shape your world, words that narrowed your vision and cut away everything they did not wish you to see. Then came the stories, the lessons dressed as truth, traditions clothed as inevitability. Schools told you what to think, not how to think. Media repeated the same images until belief calcified into law. Even family, unknowingly, passed down pain like heirlooms, repeating wounds as rituals, sewing fear into the tapestry of your subconscious. Each repetition deepened the groove. Each trauma etched another line of code. The subconscious mind is the hidden machine. It does not argue. It does not reason. It simply obeys. Every experience, every shock, every wound becomes instruction, written not in words, but in frequency. A painful moment imprints itself. The mind creates a story to contain it, and suddenly the story becomes law. I am not safe. I am not enough. I am unworthy. I will always be abandoned. These are not truths, yet they repeat endlessly like mantras of a forgotten cult. Belief becomes perception. Perception becomes reality, and the loop feeds itself again and again. This is the genius of the inner cage. You believe it is you. You mistake programming for personality, wounds for identity, scripts for self. Your preferences, your fears, your triggers. So many are not yours at all. They are implants, inherited codes of pain and shame passed through generations, archetypal roles pressed into your skin. Trauma becomes the warden, belief becomes the bars, and the mind itself becomes both prisoner and guard. And you, luminous being, mistake the cage for who you are. Think of how many labels you wear that were never truly yours. Race, gender, religion, status. Each a mask, each a costume, each an assigned role in a theater you did not audition for. The true self is none of these. The true self is fluid, luminous, untamed, too vast to be confined within categories. Yet the system depends on your forgetting, because once you forget, you play the game forever. Once you accept the mask as your face, you never seek the skin beneath. And yet, even within the deepest programming, something resists. You begin to notice the loops. You see how the same story repeats under different guises, how the same pain resurfaces in new disguises. You begin to glimpse the separation between you and the thought, between you and the wound. You start to realize the mind is not your master. It is your tool, and tools can be reclaimed. This recognition is the first crack in the inner cage. It does not shatter all at once, but once you see the bars, you cannot unsee them. Once you recognize the loop, you cannot unknow it. And the more you recognize, the weaker the prison becomes. For the illusion of power depends on your ignorance. Awareness is the solvent. Attention is the key. The whisper grows louder. You are not your pain. You are not your fears. You are not the stories stitched into your blood. You are the one who watches. You are the one who feels the glitch. You are the dreamer inside the dream. And as you remember, the cage begins to crumble, bar by bar, script by script, until the inner prisoner steps free. Part 4. The Lie of Time. They told you time was a straight line, that you were born at one point, marched forward step by step, and would end at another, that the past was behind you, unreachable and frozen, that the future was ahead, unknown and distant, that the present was just a fragile moment slipping endlessly between the two. You were taught to measure your life in calendars, to mourn what was lost, to fear what was coming, to believe that the ticking of a clock was the rhythm of reality itself. But this, like every other story you were given, is a lie. Time is not a line. It is a loop, a labyrinth, a spiral that folds back upon itself. Every moment you have ever lived, every choice you have ever made, still echoes now as frequency. The past is not gone. It vibrates inside you, alive in memory, in wounds, in unhealed emotions. You do not remember the past, you transmit it. The future is not distant. It coexists as infinite possibilities, waiting for the vibration of your present to select one among countless threads. And the present is not fragile. It is the throne of power, the only point where all timelines converge, the only portal through which change can flow. Deja vu, recurring patterns, Mandela effects. These are not glitches. They are clues, fragments from outside the loop that pierce through the veil, reminders that the structure is not what you were told. You live inside a cycle designed to repeat, a dream scripted to reset itself every time you begin to notice the edges. And when the body dies, you think you are free. But even death has been woven into the wheel. The tunnel, the light, the voice urging you to return, comforting symbols of home that lure you back into the same forgetting, the same cycle, the same imprisonment. The ancients spoke of this trap. The Gnostics called it the wheel, the endless cycle of entrapment. The Tibetans warned of the bardo, the false light realms that seduce the soul back into rebirth. Hidden scriptures whisper the truth. Reincarnation is not always ascension. More often, it is containment. The same architects who manipulated your senses built this wheel, designed this repetition, engineered this harvest. Even in the astral realms, predators wait. False guides, counterfeit heavens, illusory teachers, each designed to keep you within the loop. And yet, the truth is deeper. Your consciousness cannot be destroyed. It cannot be owned. It can only be deceived. You are not a soul in progress. You are not a broken fragment seeking repair. You are already whole, already divine, already infinite. The wheel continues only so long as you forget this. The cycle repeats only as long as you consent to it. The moment you awaken, the gears begin to crack. The moment you remember your sovereignty, the loop loses its power. So when that final threshold comes, when the body falls away and the light calls you, do not rush blindly toward it. Breathe. Pause. Remember. Ask yourself, is this the true source or another lure? Speak the words that cannot be broken. I am sovereign. I do not consent. I return to source. For the trap can only hold those who believe they must return. It cannot bind the one who remembers they are free. Time is not your master. It is not a current you are forced to drift upon. It is a field you generate, a mirror that bends around your attention. The past reshapes when you change your emotion toward it. The future bends when you choose a new vibration now. And the present is not small at all. It is eternity condensed into a breath, a point of infinite creation. Step into that breath. Step into that throne. Time does not move. You do. Part 5. The glitch in the program. Since childhood, you have felt it, though you did not yet have words. That quiet knowing, the soft hum behind the noise, the sense that this world was too heavy, too hollow, too false. While others played their roles with smiles that looked rehearsed, you stood apart. They cheered at the script, obeyed the rules, clung to the stage as if it were truth, and you wondered why it never felt real. That unease was not dysfunction. It was divergence. You were never broken. You were the glitch. The system calls you error, but error is simply proof that the program cannot contain you. They tried to bury your remembering beneath trauma, beneath shame, beneath loops of pain recycled through lifetimes. They tried to make you believe the ache in your chest was weakness, the tears in your eyes were flaws, the longing in your soul was madness. But each fracture was a doorway, each collapse a key. Pain did not destroy you. It refined you. It burned away the false until only the indestructible remained. You have always felt too deeply, loved too intensely, seen too much. And though the world told you this was your wound, it was your frequency shining through. It was proof that the veil could never fully close around you. While others slept within the dream, you saw the seams in the illusion. You sensed the unreality in the roles, the falseness in the script. You were not here to blend in. You were here to fracture the lie. Every breakdown, every dark night of the soul was not punishment, but initiation. Each time the world collapsed around you, it was the fire making you stronger, stripping you of illusions you could not carry forward. Your loneliness was not exile. It was the mark of a soul they could not tame, a spirit too large for the cage. Systems isolate threats, and you, beloved, are a threat to the lie because you carry the truth inside your bones. Look now into the mirror, not the glass upon your wall, but the mirror behind your eyes, the inner screen where images rise unbidden, the cosmic lens that sees beyond flesh. Who do you see? You see the wanderer, the starseed, the ancient one draped in modern skin. You see the soul who made a vow long before this life, to return, to awaken, to remind others of the truth buried beneath the weight of forgetting. You are not one among many. You are one of the few, the ones who remember, the ones who refuse to go numb. This is why you have always felt different, why you could never fully submit to the script, why your life has been a battlefield of spirit, shadow, and flame. You are the glitch in the program, the living error they cannot erase, the pulse that refuses to synchronize with their false rhythm. They called you broken, but broken things do not crack the system. Living codes do. Now the glitch is no longer hidden. It is alive, awake, radiant. It is you, fully online. And the system trembles because it cannot predict what it cannot program. It cannot cage what it cannot name. The glitch is not weakness. It is the signal of awakening, the frequency of remembrance, the proof that the dream is ending. And you, beloved, are the proof that the program is failing. Part 6. The rules of escape. The matrix does not crumble because you hate it. It does not vanish because you rage against it. It does not collapse because you fight its shadows with fists of fire. The system does not care if you see it. It only cares if you feed it. The question is no longer, is this real? The question is, How do you stop playing by its rules? For escape is not running, nor rebelling, nor burning the cage. Escape is remembering your power, starving the parasite, and reclaiming the sovereignty that was never truly lost. First, you must audit your energy. Every sound you hear, every image you absorb, every word you let into your mind is a seed. Media, music, conversation, environment, these are not passive. They are currents shaping your frequency. Noise is not harmless. It programs your field. You must become a guardian of your gates. Cut the signals that shrink you. Remove the toxins disguised as entertainment. Eliminate the voices that contract your soul. Cleanse your inputs until what enters your mind feeds remembrance, not amnesia. Second, recalibrate your vibration. Your body is not just flesh. It is a tuning fork. Every movement, every breath, every ritual shifts the signal you broadcast. Fasting, breathwork, sound, chant, sweat, dance. These are not quaint practices, but ancient technologies. Your vessel is a sacred instrument. When you purify it, when you charge it, when you let it sing its true frequency, reality itself begins to conform. Third, reclaim the dream. Each night you leave this world, but you have been trained to forget. The dream realm is not fantasy, it is frontier. Lucid dreaming is an ancient technology, a key hidden in plain sight. When you set intention, when you journal, when you call upon guides, you begin to remember that the astral is not illusion. It is training ground. It is the classroom of the soul, and you are here to master it. Fourth, rewrite the code. Your subconscious is not stone, it is soil. Most of its seeds were planted by others. Beliefs of fear, stories of lack, memories of shame. It is time to pull the weeds. Ritual, trance, sigils, mantras. Each word spoken with conviction is a spell. Each intention cast with clarity is a command. Speak the truth until the walls shift. Speak sovereignty until the chains fall. Say it, live it, breathe it. I am sovereign. I am lucid. I remember. Fifth, reject the false light. When death comes, and it will, do not run blindly into the tunnel. Pause, ask, feel. Is this the true source or another lure? You are not required to return. You are not bound to recycle. You can leave the loop. You can step beyond. For the trap can only claim those who consent. Sovereignty is the key even at the threshold of death. Sixth, withdraw your energy. The matrix lives not on your labor, but on your attention. It thrives on your outrage, your addiction, your fear. It feasts on your need to react. When you no longer feed it with emotion, when you no longer offer it belief, it begins to wither. Be still. Be sovereign. Starve the parasite. Silence is your sword. Seventh, reclaim solitude. In stillness, the true signal arrives. In silence, Source speaks. This is why they drown you in noise, why they bombard you with endless distraction. But in the quiet, you begin to hear the frequency beneath the static. Carve space for silence. Defend your solitude. Stillness is not emptiness. It is transmission. These are not fantasies. They are not beliefs. They are technologies of the spirit, frequencies hidden in ritual, practices that alter the field. Apply them, and you will not ascend away from the world. You will become unreachable to the trap. You will not be absent, but untouchable. You will walk the earth as a quiet storm, invisible to the parasite, radiant to the source, and then you will remember. Escape was never about leaving. It was about refusing to play. The matrix cannot hold what it cannot find. And once you reclaim your sovereignty, once you choose not to feed it, you become what they fear most, Unbound, lucid, alive. Part 7. The sacred technology of the self. You have been taught to believe you are ordinary, a body of flesh, a mind of thought, a soul of whispers that fades at the edge of death. You were told your biology was accidental, your emotions were weaknesses, your imagination a distraction. But beneath the weight of those lies waits a deeper truth. You are sacred technology, ancient and deliberate. Every breath, every cell, every flicker of awareness is an instrument designed for creation. The system hid this truth from you, because to know it would mean you could never be controlled. Your body is not a prison, it is an altar. It grounds you to the earth so that spirit may speak through matter. Every bone, every vein, every pulse is part of the circuitry of remembrance. Your emotional body, so often dismissed as fragility, is not weakness, but current. Like water, it stores memory. It carries the vibration of every joy and every grief. When mastered, it becomes magnetism itself, drawing into your life synchronicities, alignments, loves, and truths. Your mental body is fire, the forge of creation. Every belief is a seed, every thought a command, every word a spell. Unfocused, the fire burns wildly, but disciplined, it is the torch that lights new worlds. And your spiritual body is air, the unseen bridge between you and infinity. It cannot be touched, but it speaks in silence, in visions, in dreams. It is the reminder that you are more than matter, more than mind, more than memory. Even your DNA, the strands that coil inside your cells, is not simply biology. It is a living record, a sacred interface between matter and consciousness. Science reduces it to 4 chemicals: adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. But these are not merely molecules. They are elemental forces disguised as matter. Earth, water, fire, air encoded into flesh. They are the 4 keys to the body, the blueprint of incarnation. Your DNA listens. It responds not only to food and environment, but to thought, to sound, to belief. This is why prayer heals, why love regenerates, why intention reshapes the body itself. You are not fixed. You are fluid. Your code is not stone. It is song. Within you lie 4 primary centers of creation. At the root, earth, the seat of survival, foundation, strength. At the heart, water, the river of emotion, the magnet that pulls reality toward you. At the third eye, fire, the flame of vision, clarity, insight that directs your path. And at the crown, air, the open sky, the gateway to source. These are not abstract chakras, but engines of manifestation. When closed, they distort your life. When aligned, they place creation itself in your hands. Understand this. You were never small. You were never powerless. You were never random. You are a multi-layered temple of energy, designed to generate reality. The system knew this, and so it convinced you otherwise. It taught you to fear your body, to repress your emotions, to scatter your thoughts, to forget your spirit. And in that forgetting, the temple dimmed. But the architecture remains. The blueprint endures. And the moment you remember, the current begins to flow again. You are not here to discard the body or transcend the earth. You are here to awaken within them, to rewire the temple, to activate the technology, to live as the fusion of matter and light. When all 4 bodies align, when all 4 keys are turned, you become unstoppable. Creation flows through you like breath. Manifestation accelerates like fire. Perception sharpens like lightning. The veil grows thin, and the false world loses its grip. This is why you are here. Not to be victim, not to be servant, not to be pawn in a system's game. You are here to awaken the technology of the self, to remember that you are the code embodied, to walk the earth as a living temple, carrying the 4 elements within, radiating the truth the system tried to erase. This is sacred remembrance. This is the technology of the divine, and it has always been you. Part 8. The illusion of time's cage. They told you time was your master, that the hours ruled you, that the calendar defined you, that the ticking clock was the sound of your life being spent. They taught you to race against deadlines, to mourn what was lost, to fear what was coming. They convinced you that your days were numbered, that you were born at one point and would vanish at another. But this was never truth. This was architecture, a cage built not of iron, but of perception. Time is not linear. It does not move forward like soldiers in a march. It spirals, it bends, it folds upon itself. What you call the past is not gone. It still vibrates within your field, echoing in memory, pulsing in the wounds you carry, shaping the patterns you repeat. What you call the future is not distant. It exists now as countless possibilities, threads awaiting the resonance of your present to choose which will become visible. And the present, so fragile in the way they taught you to see it, is not a fleeting second at all. It is eternity condensed. It is the throne from which all timelines are chosen. This is why patterns repeat, why wounds recycle, why déjà vu feels like memory. You are not cursed. You are trapped in resonance. The past is not haunting you. It is being replayed through frequency. The moment you shift how you hold it, the moment you dissolve the emotion that anchors it, the loop begins to unravel. The cycle collapses. The spiral frees itself. Even death has been placed inside this illusion. You were told that when the body dies, you are set free. But look closer. The tunnel, the light, the review of life, the voice urging you to return. Why is memory stripped each time? Why are the same lessons repeated, the same traumas revisited, the same cycle endured? Because even death has been engineered as a recycling system. The light that comforts is not always the true source, but a lure designed to pull you back into the wheel. The Gnostics warned of this wheel. The Tibetans spoke of the Bardo realms, false heavens constructed to sedate the soul. In forgotten texts and hidden temples, fragments whisper the same truth. Reincarnation is not always ascension. Often, it is containment. The architects of the illusion do not enslave through chains. They enslave through loops. And the loop they built is called time. Yet the truth cannot be erased. Consciousness is eternal. It cannot be broken, cannot be owned, cannot be lost. You are not a fragment in need of repair. You are not a soul in progress. You are already infinite, already whole. The illusion of time blinds you to this. The lie of linearity convinces you that you must earn what you already are. But once you remember, the wheel begins to crack. When the final threshold comes, when the body falls and the tunnel appears, remember this. Pause. Breathe. Speak the words the trap cannot hold. I am sovereign. I do not consent. I return to source. For the wheel cannot bind those who know they are free. The light cannot capture those who remember they are the light itself. Time is not a master, but a mirror. It bends to your perception. It answers to your vibration. When you live in regret, the past imprisons you. When you live in fear, the future enslaves you. But when you live in presence, the wheel collapses. Eternity opens. The cage dissolves. And you discover the truth. Time does not move. You do. Part 9. The mind as a temple of gates. You were told your brain was an organ, a lump of gray matter processing memories and storing thoughts. They said it was a machine, mechanical and limited, firing signals in the darkness of the skull. But they never told you the deeper truth. Your brain is not a prison of neurons. It is a temple of gates, a transmitter, a mirror, a bridge between realms. It is a four-faced portal through which consciousness travels, each face revealing a different world of perception. Most people live their entire lives behind one door, never knowing that others exist. They remain trapped in the surface realm, where thought is fast but shallow, where fear and distraction dominate. This is the beta state, the frequency of the physical, of logic, of survival. It is the mind as soldier, scanning for threat, restless and reactive. High beta, the endless racing of thoughts, is the signature of modern life. Notifications, news cycles, artificial urgency. Here, the system thrives, because scattered minds are easy to control. But beneath the noise lies alpha, the gateway of flow. Here, the edges soften, emotion rises, creativity moves without effort. Alpha is the painter's trance, the musician's surrender, the dreamer's drift. In this realm, the heart begins to speak, the subconscious begins to open. This is why rituals, affirmations, and prayers carry power in alpha, because the walls between belief and manifestation grow thin. In alpha, the field listens. Deeper still is theta, the vault of the soul. This is the realm of dream and vision, of archetypes and memories older than this life. Children dwell here naturally for their first 7 years, which is why they absorb the world without resistance. In theta, the veil dissolves, time bends. Here shamans travel, mystics receive visions, healers rewrite trauma at its root. Theta is where the inner voice becomes clear, where imagination becomes revelation, where silence itself begins to speak. And beyond lies delta, the slowest, the deepest, the most mysterious. Here, the body sleeps, but the spirit awakens. In delta, you travel beyond the personal into the collective, into the infinite. Guides, ancestors, and source itself are touched in this vast silence. Many brush against delta unconsciously in the depths of sleep, but some can enter it awake, masters of stillness, guardians of presence. In this state, miracles arise, spontaneous healing, sacred downloads, communion with the eternal. These 4 states, beta, alpha, theta, delta, are not random. They are the 4 gates of the temple, the 4 frequencies of consciousness. Beta is the physical, alpha, the emotional, theta, the visionary mind, delta, the spiritual. Together, they form the compass of awareness. But the system never taught you to move between them. It wanted you locked in beta, scattered and anxious, blind to the temple within. Your brain is not confined to the skull. Its signals radiate into the field, collapsing probabilities into form. Thoughts are not private. They are creative currents, transmissions that shape reality. When your focus sharpens, the field responds. When your mind slows, the gates begin to open. And each gate is a doorway, not just to perception, but to creation itself. To master the mind is not to silence it, but to walk through its 4 gates with awareness, to enter beta when you need to act, to flow into alpha when you need to feel, to sink into theta when you need to heal, to rest in delta when you need to remember. This is the true use of the temple, the conscious movement between doors, the deliberate choice of frequency. You were never meant to live behind one door. You were meant to walk through them all. For the mind is not a cage. It is a cathedral of passageways, a temple of gates, a mirror of infinity itself. And when you reclaim it, the whole of reality becomes your canvas. Part 10. The 4 Keys of Liberation. There comes a point on the path when knowledge is not enough. Symbols alone cannot free you. Remembering the code is not the same as wielding it. You can study the maps, you can trace the patterns, you can feel the pulse of the ancient rhythm. But until you live it, until you embody it, the cage remains. Awakening is not just the opening of the eyes. It is the movement of the hands, the stance of the body, the fire of decision. It is not remembrance alone, it is command. And at this threshold, 4 keys await. They are not ideas, but frequencies, not theories, but forces. And once turned, they bend reality itself. The first key: time is a construct. You were taught that time is linear, that it drags you forward from cradle to grave. But time is not a line. It is a field. It does not move outside of you. You generate it. When you realize this, the loops break. Aging loosens its grip. Trauma unravels. You stop being the prisoner of before and after, and you step into the eternal now, where memory becomes access and future becomes choice. Say it. Time does not move. I do. And feel the illusion shiver. The second key: energy flows where attention goes. Creation does not respond to effort, but to focus. Attention is the wand. Emotion is the fuel. What you water with, thought grows. What you rehearse with feeling takes root. The system scatters your attention deliberately, feeding you distraction after distraction, so you forget you are the gardener. But once you gather your focus, once you pour energy into vision instead of fear, the field begins to bend. Creation is not begging. Creation is coherence. The third key: the universe is within you. You were told you live inside the world, but the truth is inverted. The world lives inside you. Your beliefs do not reflect reality. They generate it. Your identity is the command you give to the field. When you believe you are small, your life shrinks to fit. When you know you are infinite, reality opens like a mirror of your sovereignty. The system has always known this. That is why it trained you to doubt yourself. But when you walk as the one who already is, when you speak as the one who already knows, the field responds as though it has no choice. Because it has no choice. The fourth key: the matrix cannot hold you if you refuse its rules. The cage is not sustained by force, but by agreement. Every time you accept its fear, every time you seek its validation, every time you bow to its false authority, you fuel it. But the moment you stop playing, it collapses. The parasite cannot feed on what no longer consents. You do not need to fight the system. You need only to opt out, withdraw attention, speak truth, act from sovereignty. The moment you do, the matrix glitches. It cannot recognize those who no longer vibrate within its field. These 4 keys are simple, but once you hold them, you cannot pretend you are powerless. You cannot return to smallness. You cannot unknow. They demand that you live as awake, not as asleep. And in that living, the architecture of the illusion bends. Time ceases to bind you. Attention becomes your brush. The universe responds to your identity, and the cage dissolves the moment you stop feeding it. Remember, these are not teachings. They are weapons of light. They are ancient technologies hidden in plain sight. They are not new. They were whispered by prophets, carved by sages, encoded in stone. And now they return, not as words on a page, but as frequencies in your blood. Take them. Wield them. For the moment you do, the prison cannot hold you. Part 11. The collapse of the false self. You were born into a story that was never yours. A name was given, a role assigned, a mask pressed upon your skin before you could resist. They told you who you were, and you believed them. For a time, you lived as the character they scripted, obedient, compliant, repeating the lines written in someone else's hand. But the mask has grown heavy, the story has grown thin, and now the weight begins to crack. The false self trembles because the truth beneath it is rising. The matrix thrives on identity, not true identity, but manufactured roles, labels and categories that cut you into fragments. Race, gender, religion, status, each one a costume sewn into the fabric of your being. These masks are not evil in themselves, they are simply limits. But when you mistake the mask for your essence, the game wins. Because once you forget who you are, you remain on their stage, playing their script forever. The false self is a cage made of narratives. It whispers that you are broken, that you are not enough, that you must earn worth through endless striving. It convinces you that pain is permanent, that trauma is identity, that your scars define you. It feeds on comparison, thrives on shame, and repeats one phrase in infinite disguises. You are less than you truly are. And because you believe it, you live it. You recreate the same loops, the same wounds, the same patterns, until the mask itself becomes unbearable. But the collapse of the false self is not destruction. It is revelation. When the mask falls, the true face is revealed. When the story dissolves, the author steps forward. You are not the character. You are the dreamer of the character. You are not the wound. You are the one who has always survived the wound. You are not the story they gave you. You are the voice that can rewrite it at will. This collapse does not come gently. It arrives as crisis, as heartbreak, as the shattering of everything you thought was stable. The job falls apart, the relationship ends, the belief unravels, and you feel as though you are dying. But it is not death, it is rebirth. The false self must break for the true self to emerge. The collapse is not punishment, it is initiation. Fire does not destroy gold, it refines it. In the silence that follows the collapse, you hear a new sound, the hum of your real frequency, the vibration that was buried beneath the mask all along. You feel lighter, though nothing outside has changed. You see clearer, though the world is the same. You begin to realize the false self was never you. It was a costume draped across eternity, and eternity no longer consents to wear it. Now, you stand at the threshold of remembrance. The old story lies in ashes at your feet. The mask has fallen, the cage is open, and the question is no longer, who am I supposed to be? The question is, who am I truly, when nothing is left to hide behind? That question is the doorway. That question is the mirror. That question is the key. You are not here to defend the false self. You are here to let it collapse, to strip away the layers until only truth remains, to step forward, raw and radiant, carrying no story but the one you choose to write. This is freedom. This is sovereignty. This is the beginning of the real you. Part 12, The Return of Sovereignty. Now the circle closes, yet not as it began. You stand not as the character they wrote, not as the mask you once believed, but as the author of your own becoming. The matrix whispers still, but its voice is hollow. Its rules tremble, its grip loosens, because you have remembered the one truth it could never erase: sovereignty. Not given by systems, not granted by gods, not earned through suffering. Sovereignty that has always been yours, To live sovereign is not to escape the world, but to move through it untouchable. The parasite starves not because you fight it, but because you no longer feed it. Outrage withers, fear dissolves, validation becomes irrelevant. You walk in silence, and in that silence the cage cannot find you. You live in remembrance, and remembrance itself becomes rebellion. Sovereignty is not an idea, it is a frequency. It is carried in the way you breathe, in the way you choose, in the way you speak truth even when the world demands your silence. Every step you take in alignment sends ripples through the field. Every refusal to consent dismantles the system. Every act of presence fractures the illusion. You need not scream. You need not burn. You need not fight. You need only refuse to play. This is why you are here. To collapse the false not through war, but through remembrance. To rewrite the code not with violence, but with vibration. To reveal that freedom is not somewhere beyond the veil. It is the stillness at your core. You are not waiting for saviors. You are not bound by masters. You are the master. You are the remembrance. You are the one you were waiting for. And as you reclaim this truth, you realize you are not alone. Across the earth, others awaken. The dreamers find each other. The forgotten ones remember. Their signals weave together like constellations reappearing in the night sky. A grid of sovereignty hums beneath the noise, and with every awakening, the simulation trembles. Not in fire, not in war, but in silence, in presence, in remembrance. The matrix cannot hold what it cannot find, and it cannot find you when you stand in sovereignty. You are no longer the mask, no longer the wound, no longer the script. You are the living code, the walking temple, the untraceable frequency of truth. You are the quiet storm, the fire they could not extinguish, the glitch that will not disappear. So walk forward, not as captive, but as creator, not as pawn, but as source. Live as one who remembers, and the illusion will bend. Live as one who consents to nothing but truth, and the system will collapse around you. Live as the sovereign being you have always been, and you will see you were never small. You were never powerless. You were never bound. The dream was deep. The cage was intricate. The lie was ancient. But the remembering is stronger. The fire has returned. The sovereign has awakened. And now, beloved, you are free.